Welcome to this Agilec podcast focused on leading ourselves and others during this extraordinary time. We titled it, Who Do You Want to Be When This Is All Over? Because we believe hope is essential at this point, as is the leadership that can build it. I'm Crystal Dolliver with Kim Davies of Agilec. In this discussion, we'll draw on our experience and knowledge in mental health, leadership, team functioning, and emotional intelligence. As certified emotions and behaviors at work coaches, we see the impact of resiliency, the impact on resiliency, results, and retention when leaders ignore hope.
Yeah, Crystal, at the heart of our discussion today is how we as leaders and individuals can rise to the challenge before us. I think we can really get caught up at dealing just with what's happening right now. But I do believe that we need to look up and see what the opportunities are ahead of us. If we keep trying to just manage problems and manage the moment, um, and the people that we are leading, we can get really caught up. And we do so without emotional intelligence, the awareness of where we were at emotionally and where others are at emotionally. And we run the risk of burnout, losing people, disengagement.
Yes, and that's interesting that research from 6 Seconds indicates that approximately 70% or so of problems in today's workplaces are, in fact, emotional and relational. And so, really, not that surprising that if this space, which is volatile and highly uncertain, cracks are showing in our organizations and teams. And I think, you know, what many teams are experiencing right now is being compounded by leadership that is focused simply on riding this pandemic out. But we started to think, what if there is a better option, one that would improve the health and wellness of a team, a leader, an organization? And it started us talking really about what we could do to support others to meet the challenges head on. We think it is even more imperative to be aware of who we are, what motivates us, what triggers us and others, and boosting our emotional intelligence at work, our business EQ, is critical.
Yeah, so business EQ is interesting. And if we talk about kind of the history of where business EQ originated. 1995, Daniel Goleman brought the study of EQ mainstream. And to remind everyone, emotional intelligence, EQ, is the ability to identify, assess, and control one's own emotions, the emotions of others, and that of groups you might be leading or interacting with. So furthermore, in 2002, in his book Primal Leadership, Daniel Goleman looked at emotional intelligence in leaders, and he discussed the characteristics of a good leader, of leadership styles, and he outlined the steps to becoming an effective leader. And according to Daniel Goleman, there are 6 emotional leadership styles: authoritative, coaching, affiliative, democratic, pace setting, and commanding. Did I get to visionary? Did I say visionary and visionary? So each style has a different effect on the emotions of the people that you're leading and is needed at different times. So what I think right now is what we really need is a visionary leader. And a visionary leader is one who mobilizes people towards a vision. And this is a great style when you're moving in a new direction or when change is required. Um, Yeah, so I really feel that the visionary leadership style is something we should be looking at and reflecting on right now.
Yes, this was highlighted in a recent EBW article by Stephen Walker, Time for Leaders to Create Their Vision. So, May of last year, he wrote very compellingly about research that has consistently demonstrated that positive visioning produces change in behavior and performance, both in the workplace and outside of it. Um, and then really linked that to the types of leaders we're seeing around the globe who are really supporting their followers, those that they're leading, to have hope in this moment. He highlighted quite a few of the leaders who are with a more personal and empathetic approach, really aspiring, creating that inspiration, that aspiration for the future. And I think it is really important for us to start to reflect on what it means to lead in this space, in this crisis. And our ability as individuals and as leaders to create our own vision and to help others build their vision for the future. Some of the key elements that were highlighted in his article in particular jumped out for me. And in our work with teams and leaders, I certainly see this need for building a sense of shared hope, really helping individuals have the confidence, the self-efficacy, and the optimism for the future. When we're focused on simply surviving or riding out the storm that is, we miss often that the importance of that shared hope. He also highlighted the importance of creating a clear image of the desired outcome or future. So if we can start looking into the future and imagining, what that looks like, but also, the future doesn't have to be that far away. We can be thinking about who do we want to be tomorrow? Who do we want to be in the next minute? And then really coming back to our shared values and focusing on what they are. What are those agreed rules and ways that we're working together and supporting each other, and moving, the needle a little bit on that team culture and shared identity. So these really jumped out for me when
Mhm.
started to think about the importance of visionary leadership.
Yeah, and I know a few years ago when I did my EBW training, and I looked at my life, and I looked at, where I was at as a leader, and I wanted my work to have a purpose and leave a sense of meaning in what I did. And I mean, I was doing a good job. I was managing a project, but I wanted to have an impact that was more meaningful. And my thing is to help people find joy in what they do. So I really had a good self-reflection time at that point in my life, and made a decision that I wanted to be more of a visionary style of leader. And so I looked at my emotional intelligence EBW profile and realized I needed to work on it, on some things, and stretch a little bit. So some of those things that a visionary leader might want to work on is communicating their vision. Like, how do you communicate your storytelling, right? Clarifying what it is that you are seeing, and communicating in such a way that inspires people to follow you. That would include understanding the emotions of others, and how do you inspire people to follow your direction. And you think of some of the visionary leaders that have, in my time, that have inspired me: Martin Luther King, Malala Yousafzai,
Yes.
is, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk. Even, like, there's these people that inspire us to go, hey, life can be different. We should go that way, right?
Yeah, I think, inspiration is absolutely a piece of it. There's those clear uh, emotional behaviors that influence the effectiveness of someone who is a visionary leader. And so sometimes we have to step out of our comfort zone a little bit to reach for that leadership approach. But ultimately, it is about someone who can create the trust, create the space to support individuals to start to create their own vision as well, and it's that motivating towards something that I think becomes so key, helping to create that big picture with others. Often I've been involved with appreciative inquiry projects with organizations, and that's all about shared values and how we can co-create, what that we want the future to look like. And I think it's at that time that we really need a strong sense of our own emotional impact on others. We need to have an awareness of ourselves, and certainly build and develop our ability to flex a little bit. And that's the need, I think, for a visionary leader. There are some cons to that style, and I think we certainly need to be aware of that. There is a balance needed between a long-term vision and a day-to-day sort of operational requirements of a company. I think as leaders, we have to straddle the daily needs uh, as along with, the future. Um, I think sometimes there can be a fixation by leaders that could on a leader's vision that could result in good ideas being tossed aside. So I think having an inclusive and open space for people to co-create the vision is really important, and creates that psychological safety. So again, there is still a need for that visionary leader to be a little more open and flexible in that space and empathetic. We know the importance of empathy. We've seen a lot of leadership training focus more recently on compassionate leadership, and that's a piece of the puzzle, uh, balanced, with the realities of our day-to-day
Mhm.
requirements.
Yeah, so I think we can now is the time to reflect on who we are and what our leadership style is and where we might want to grow and stretch. We and I personally have used the emotions and behaviors in the workplace EQ assessment as a tool to see what leadership style you most closely align with, and it helps you identify where you might want to stretch. So I think it's a really good tool, and we at Agilec can offer that to people if they're interested and want to reflect on where ways they might want to grow.
Yes, and certainly thinking about our leadership and how we're supporting others to create a vision for the future, and even to be mindful of who they want to be in the next moment.
Mhm.
If you would like to be supported towards co-creating a vision, or increasing and developing that emotional intelligence, that business EQ, you can certainly contact us at training@agilic.ca. Thanks for listening.